What happens to your brain, energy, and future? When you stop masturbating for 30 days, did you know that compulsive masturbation can quietly drain more than 30 hours every single month? That's an entire day and a quarter spent not on purpose, not on progress, but on instant gratification. Stretch that across a year and you're looking at over 360 hours gone, the equivalent of 15 full days you'll never get back. Now imagine what those 15 days could mean if you use them intentionally. That's enough time to build a new fitness routine, launch the first phase of your dream business, or radically reset your mental and emotional health. Instead of dopamine crashes and regret, you could be leveling up. The numbers don't lie. Now ask yourself, what has compulsive pleasure cost you already? Before we dive deep, take one powerful step right now. Smash that like button, share this video with someone who needs to break free from this cycle, subscribe to the channel if you're ready to level up, and comment below. Have you ever attempted a 30-day no masturbation challenge? What happened? Did it change your life or expose just how deep the habit had taken root? What if the very thing that gives you quick, cheap pleasure is also the silent thief that's stealing your confidence, energy, and future? This video isn't just about willpower. It's about something much bigger. Your potential, your identity, and the mental fog that's been dimming your fire for years, maybe without you even realizing it. Let's be real for a second. Masturbation isn't evil. Science shows it can be healthy in moderation. It can reduce stress, release tension, and even help with sleep. But here's where things get murky, when it shifts from a conscious choice to a compulsive crutch. Ask yourself, are you using it to avoid emotions? To numb your boredom? To escape from stress or loneliness? If so, you're not alone. Experts like Dr. Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist, Stanford University, and Dr. John Gray, author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, warn that dopamine dependency through constant sexual release can hijack your brain's reward system. That means reduced motivation, lower energy, struggles with focus and creativity, and worse, difficulty finding real joy in non-sexual achievements. It starts off innocent, just a quick release to relax. But soon it becomes a pattern. Just this once turns into once a day, then twice, then more. You're not just wasting time, you're draining your masculine edge, your mental sharpness, your ambition, your emotional grit. You feel tired all the time, you're irritable, you procrastinate more, and the worst part? You might not even connect the dots. Millions of men, from college students to CEOs, are silently stuck in this loop. And it's not because they're lazy or broken, it's because the habit was never designed to be managed. It was designed to keep you coming back again and again while your goals collect dust. But what happens if you quit, truly quit, for 30 days? Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? In this video, we'll explore exactly that. We'll break down the science and psychology of a 30-day no masturbation reset, week by week. We'll cover what happens to your dopamine and brain chemistry, how your energy levels and motivation shift, the surprising psychological transformation that can reshape how you see yourself, plus real-life experiences from men who've done it and changed everything. This isn't about shame. It's not about being anti-sex. It's about awareness. It's about rewiring your brain, building discipline, and learning to delay gratification, not to punish yourself, but to become the man you were meant to be. Let's be honest, this isn't just about quitting a habit. This is about reclaiming your power. Take a deep breath. Let's pause right here. If you've ever felt mentally drained, emotionally unmotivated, or just off, this might be the reset you didn't know you needed. So if you're ready to rebuild your focus, energy, and drive, hit like, subscribe for more science-backed self-mastery videos, and comment below. What's the hardest part for you when trying to stop masturbating? Is it the boredom, the cravings, the emotional crash? Let's talk about it, because you're not alone. Week 1, the withdrawal phase, days 1 through 7. Did you know that masturbation, especially when paired with high-stimulation porn, triggers a dopamine spike in your brain that's comparable to what you'd experience with substances like cocaine or amphetamines? Yes, that's not an exaggeration. It's neuroscience. Your brain is literally flooded with feel-good chemicals, giving you an intense, albeit temporary, rush of pleasure. But here's the catch. When you suddenly remove that source of stimulation, your brain doesn't thank you. It panics. You're no longer feeding it the dopamine it's been addicted to, and the withdrawal can be brutal. Here's what many people experience in the first 7 days. Irritability. You might find yourself snapping at people or getting frustrated over the smallest things. Restlessness. Your body feels uncomfortable in its own skin. You can't sit still, and everything feels off. Low mood or even depressive episodes. Many men report a sense of emptiness, lack of joy, or even crying spells, especially around day 3 or 4. Anxiety or panic-like symptoms. Your chest feels tight, your heart races. You might start questioning if something is seriously wrong. Brain fog. It feels like you've lost your mental edge. Words don't come out right, and even simple tasks feel overwhelming. But this isn't a sign that you're broken. It's proof that your brain is trying to heal. Real-life example. Meet Tom. Tom is a 24-year-old medical student from the UK. On the surface, he had it together. Good grades, high ambitions. But underneath, he was caught in a loop. Daily masturbation plus constant porn for nearly 7 years. When Tom decided to go cold turkey, he thought it would be easy. After all, he wasn't hurting anyone, right? Wrong. By day 2, he felt a strange tightness in his chest, constant anxiety like something bad was about to happen. Day 3 hit hard. No appetite, insomnia, intrusive thoughts, and even moments of full-blown panic. He thought he was going crazy. He almost gave up. But something shifted on day 6. The storm began to calm. He started journaling to cope with the emotions. His thoughts got clearer. For the first time in months, he sat through a full study session without reaching for his phone or drifting off into a porn fantasy. Tom later said, "That week was hell, but I didn't realize how addicted I was until I tried to stop." Science insight. What's actually happening in your brain? According to Dr. Anna Lemke, a renowned Stanford psychiatrist and author of Dopamine Nation, when we flood our brains daily with high dopamine activities like porn and compulsive masturbation, the brain downregulates its dopamine receptors. In simple terms, your brain gets numb to pleasure. It's the same mechanism seen in drug addicts. The more you stimulate it, the less it responds. That's why normal life starts to feel dull, because you've trained your brain to expect fireworks. When you stop cold turkey, your dopamine levels crash. And the feelings of emptiness, boredom, and restlessness, that's not weakness, that's withdrawal. But here's the good news. Withdrawal is temporary. Your brain isn't broken, it's just trying to rebalance. Over time, your dopamine receptors begin to reset, making you more sensitive to natural rewards again, like exercise, deep conversation, or creative flow. My take. If you're in week 1 right now, let me tell you something most people won't. It's going to suck. You'll question everything. Your sanity, your goals, your decision to quit. You'll be tempted to just do it once to relieve the pressure. But I promise, if you push through these 7 days, you'll start to feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Clarity. So what can you do to survive the first week? Track your urges, write them down, observe what triggers them, avoid idle time. Fill your day with structure, reading, working out, studying, even cold showers. Don't isolate. Talk to a friend, join a challenge group, or leave a comment below. Understand this. Cravings aren't commands. Just because your brain screams for release doesn't mean you have to obey it. You're not just quitting a habit. You're retraining your brain, rebuilding your willpower, and laying the foundation for a stronger version of yourself. Withdrawal is pain, but it's the pain of transformation, not destruction. Week 2, the clarity window, days 8 through 14. Surprising stat. According to a 2003 clinical study conducted at Zhejiang University in China, men who abstained from ejaculation for 14 days saw a staggering 145% increase in testosterone levels. That's not a typo. We're talking about a natural, measurable hormonal surge without supplements, drugs, or extreme dieting. Let that sink in. Testosterone is the king hormone when it comes to male vitality. It influences everything from your libido and muscle mass to mental sharpness, confidence, and even risk-taking behavior. So when your body suddenly stops releasing it through constant masturbation, it begins to accumulate and reallocate that energy in powerful ways. What starts to shift in week 2? Once you get through the emotional turbulence of week 1, something almost magical happens. Your system starts stabilizing. Here's what many report during days 8 to 14. Improved focus. Your mind no longer wanders to fantasy or compulsive urges. You start entering flow states more easily, whether it's during study, creative work, or business planning. More restful sleep. Without the blue light and dopamine overload of late-night porn, your circadian rhythm normalizes, leading to deeper REM cycles and quicker recovery. Increased physical energy. Your body begins channeling that retained sexual energy into movement, endurance, and productivity. Many men say their workouts get stronger and they feel less fatigued throughout the day. Sharper memory. You start remembering names, numbers, and ideas more easily. That constant mental fog? Gone. Enhanced workouts. You lift heavier, run longer, push harder. This isn't placebo. Testosterone drives performance, and now you're running on a full tank. Scientific explanation: the brain rewires through neuroplasticity. This is where one of the most powerful processes in neuroscience kicks in. Neuroplasticity. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist from Stanford, explains that the human brain is constantly reshaping itself based on repeated behaviors. When you interrupt the pattern of compulsive release and redirect that energy into meaningful action, like working out, building a business, improving relationships, you're not just resisting urges. You're rewiring your identity. Think of your brain like a dense jungle. Every time you open porn and masturbate, you're walking down the same overused path. But when you stop and instead meditate, read, train, or create, you begin forging new neural trails. Over time, the old path fades. The new path strengthens. That's not just psychological, that's biological transformation. Real-life inspiration, the discipline of icons. History gives us powerful examples of men who intentionally redirected sexual energy into high performance. Nikola Tesla, the revolutionary inventor behind alternating current and wireless communication, was famously celibate. He believed that abstaining helped him devote his full mind to scientific work. Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, practiced strict forms of Eastern spiritual discipline. He believed in controlling sexual energy to enhance focus and vision. Even Muhammad Ali refused sex before fights, claiming it made him mentally sharper and physically more aggressive in the ring. Whether or not you fully believe in semen retention, these examples demonstrate a common truth. Discipline over desire leads to greatness. And here's the key: they didn't see sexual abstinence as deprivation. They saw it as transmutation, a way to transform primal urges into purpose, legacy, and mastery. My insight: here's the hard truth. Most men never make it this far. They quit in week 1 when the withdrawal hits. They give in when the cravings peak. They tell themselves, just one more time, and end up back at 0. But if you've made it to week 2, you're ahead of 90% of men. This is your first real glimpse of mental clarity, and it's addictive in the best way. You feel alive again. You start to realize just how much energy you were wasting and how much potential you now have in your hands. You're no longer reacting to life. You're now in a position to create it. So here's my advice. Use this window. Double down on your goals. Journal your progress. Meditate daily, even just 5 minutes. Start building momentum in an area you've been neglecting. Your body, your craft, your business. Because once you see how powerful your mind becomes without the fog, you'll never want to go back. If you're still watching this video, it means you're not just interested, you're committed. Smash that like button to help others break free from this cycle. Share this video with someone who's ready to reclaim their clarity. Drop a comment below. What changes, mental or physical, are you starting to notice during week 2? So we're in week 3, the identity shift, days 15 to 21. Mind-blowing stat, the average man, without even realizing it, wastes over 1,000 hours every single year watching porn and masturbating. That's over 40 entire 24-hour days. Gone. That's more time than most people spend on vacation, working out, or even reading in a year. Just pause for a second and imagine what 40 days of laser-focused energy could produce if redirected into your purpose. Your body, your career, your relationships, or your art. This is where the real transformation begins. By week 3, something shifts deep beneath the surface. The cravings start to quiet down. But more importantly, your inner narrative changes. You stop telling yourself, "I'm trying to quit," and you start saying, "That's not who I am anymore." This isn't just behavior change, it's identity shift. Real-life example. Jake's story. Let me tell you about Jake, one of my coaching clients. He's a 29-year-old music producer who had been struggling with porn addiction for 8 years. A talented guy with amazing ideas, but he never finished what he started. His hard drives were full of half-done tracks. Why? Because every time he'd get into a flow state, he'd interrupt it with distractions. Scrolling, porn, masturbation. He'd feel guilty afterward, lose momentum, and convince himself he wasn't good enough. But during his 3rd week on NoFap, something clicked. He began sleeping deeper. His brain fog lifted. Most importantly, his emotional resilience skyrocketed. By the end of week 3, Jake had not only finished 2 full tracks, he released them publicly, a goal he'd put off for years. And the craziest part? The only real variable that changed was his focus and energy. When you're not battling shame and craving 24/7, you actually have the mental bandwidth to execute. Scientific insight: why identity change matters. According to the American Psychological Association, APA, most compulsive behaviors, like porn use, are not rooted in laziness or lust. They're rooted in emotional avoidance. We use porn to escape stress, loneliness, boredom, insecurity, shame, fear of failure. But once you remove that numbing agent, something powerful happens. All those repressed emotions start to rise. This can feel overwhelming at first. Some guys feel mood swings, emotional sensitivity, or even bursts of anger or sadness. But here's the truth. It's not a breakdown. It's a breakthrough. This is the moment your brain is learning to feel again, without the digital anesthesia of porn. Neuroscientist Dr. Judson Brewer, a leading expert in addiction and mindfulness, explains it best. Most addiction is about avoiding discomfort, but when you turn toward the discomfort and observe it, that's where real healing begins. In other words, this week is less about avoiding urges and more about confronting the emotions you've been avoiding for years. Commentary. Why this week is the tipping point. Week 3 is when you begin to realize something profound. Most men aren't lazy. They're just mentally exhausted. They don't lack potential. They lack retained energy. They're drained because their energy is constantly leaking through late-night scrolling, endless tabs, and compulsive release. But when you seal those energy leaks, even temporarily, something sacred returns to you. Drive, clarity, confidence. Stability, willpower. You become a man who acts with purpose, not one who's constantly reacting to impulses. And this shift in identity is contagious. People start noticing. Your voice becomes more grounded. Your eyes are more focused. Your handshake is firmer. Your presence becomes magnetic. You walk into a room and people sense something different about you, even if they can't put their finger on it. That's not ego. That's alignment. My insight: become the architect of your future self. Here's what I tell my clients at this stage. If you've made it to week 3, don't look back. You've crossed the mental threshold from struggle to structure, from trying to becoming. This is the time to double down on rituals that support your new identity. Daily journaling, track your wins and mental shifts, cold showers, build discipline and mental edge. Morning workouts, channel energy into your body. Digital minimalism, cut unnecessary screen time to preserve clarity. Accountability, tell someone you trust, make your progress real. The biggest mistake men make here? They think, I've got this now, and let their guard down. But transformation is a process, not an event. The real power lies not just in saying, that's not who I am anymore, but in proving it every day through your actions. Week 4, Momentum and Mastery, days 22 to 30. Insane insight. Here's a truth no one tells you. Dopamine isn't the enemy. It's your internal GPS. It was never designed to destroy you. In fact, it's what built civilizations, launched rockets, and composed symphonies. The problem isn't dopamine itself. It's what you've trained your dopamine to respond to. If you allow things like porn, endless scrolling, or meaningless novelty to hijack that system, your dopamine becomes a slave to short-term pleasure. But if you learn how to redirect and retrain your dopamine pathways, it becomes the greatest ally of long-term achievement. And this is exactly what happens by week 4. For the first time in years, many men experience what it feels like to be fully self-directed. Urges no longer control you, they inform you. You don't act on every impulse. You observe, reframe, and redirect them into power. You feel in control of your choices instead of being a prisoner of habits. Internally motivated, not needing YouTube hype or motivational quotes to get going. More creative, expressive, and daring with your ideas. Aligned, your thoughts, actions, and values are finally on the same page. This is when you begin to live as the man you imagined, not in theory, but in reality. Real life story. The Reddit breakthrough. Let's talk about a story shared by a user on the NoFap Reddit community, which has over 1 million active members committed to personal transformation. This individual, let's call him Mark, had been jobless for over a year. He confessed that porn and procrastination had become his daily routine. He knew he needed a change, but couldn't summon the energy or clarity to act. On day 1, he quit porn, not for moral reasons, but because he realized it was the single greatest thief of his focus and drive. By day 30, Mark didn't just feel different, he was different. He described waking up feeling like the fog had finally lifted. His thoughts were clearer, his communication more confident. He said, "It felt like I had been half asleep for years and suddenly I was wide awake." That same week, he applied for a job he had avoided for months, and he nailed the interview. Not because he had magically become smarter, but because his energy and self-belief were finally aligned. This is not a one-off story, it's a pattern. Because when you stop leaking dopamine into dead ends, you unlock a level of cognitive clarity and emotional strength most men never experience. Science. Insight. Dopamine. Rewiring in action. Neurologically speaking, you've spent the last 3 weeks undergoing something called dopaminergic recalibration. Here's what that means. Every time you resist the urge to chase quick dopamine through porn or masturbation, and instead redirect it toward a long-term goal, you strengthen your brain's prefrontal cortex. That's the area responsible for self-control, decision-making, and executive function. According to Dr. Anna Lemke, psychiatrist and author of Dopamine Nation, when you abstain from hyperstimulating behaviors like porn, your brain rebounds to a baseline of balance, and this balance is where true motivation, creativity, and peace of mind emerge. She explains, the pleasure-pain balance in the brain is like a seesaw. If you push too hard on pleasure, your brain has to compensate with pain. But when you find balance through abstinence, that's where healing and mastery happens. So in week 4, your brain isn't just fighting urges anymore. It's rewired itself to favor growth, creation, and depth over shallow highs. That's not just healing, that's neurological evolution. Strategy check-in. What you've actually built. Let's do a quick audit of what you've achieved so far. Replace triggers, whether it's a cold shower, a morning workout, or walking instead of scrolling. You've started trading weakness for strength. Reconnected with your body, maybe through weightlifting, breath work, yoga, or just mindful stillness. You're finally in your body, not just escaping it. Emotional resilience. You faced boredom, frustration, maybe even loneliness, and you didn't run. You grew. Consistency in goals. Even if small, you're now someone who shows up. The energy you use to waste is now momentum you can build upon. And here's the deeper truth. Week 4 isn't the end, it's the foundation. You're not just someone who stopped doing something harmful. You're becoming someone who started living intentionally. Commentary. From resistance to construction. There's a shift that happens in this final phase of the journey. In the first 2 weeks, you were resisting temptation. By week 3, you were rebuilding identity. But now in week 4, you're doing something even greater. Constructing your future. You're no longer waking up wondering, will I relapse today? You're waking up asking, what can I build today? A business? A six-pack? A relationship built on depth, not dopamine? A skill you've always wanted to master? That's what momentum and mastery feel like. Not perfection, but alignment. My insight, don't just quit, transcend. If you've made it this far, you're no longer just someone who gave something up. You're someone who transcended addiction and chose purpose over impulse. And that's rare. In a world where everything is built to distract and addict you, choosing to build yourself makes you a revolutionary. But don't stop here. Week 4 is not a finish line, it's a green light. Keep refining your routines. Keep expanding your vision. Keep showing up, even when no one's watching. Because this is where greatness begins, not in loud moments, but in quiet mastery. If this journey has impacted you even a little, hit that like button. Subscribe for more science-backed strategies for becoming the best version of yourself. And drop a comment below. What has shifted for you after 30 days? What's the biggest difference you've noticed in your energy, mindset, or habits? Let your voice be part of this movement. Conclusion. The new you. Let's get one thing straight. Masturbation is not your enemy. Your true enemy is unconscious living, the kind that robs you of presence, clarity, and purpose without you even realizing it. This journey wasn't about demonizing your biology. It was about reclaiming your autonomy. You don't need to become a monk. You don't need to drown in guilt. You don't need to reject desire, but you do need to make a decision, a conscious one. Will you choose short-term comfort or long-term greatness? That's what this 30-day challenge has always been about. It's not about giving up something. It's about taking back everything that's been slowly slipping away. Your time, wasted in mindless scrolling or private escapes. Your energy, drained by dopamine loops and overstimulation. Your direction, blurred by guilt, distraction, and inconsistency. The truth is, when you break free from compulsive habits, you don't lose pleasure, you gain power. You stop numbing your potential and start steering it. Summary of the 30-day journey. Let's look back, not just to celebrate, but to remember what you've built. Week 1. Withdrawal is real, but temporary. This was your storm. The brain craved the hit it was used to. You felt irritable, restless, maybe even hopeless at moments. But withdrawal is proof that change is happening. It's not failure, it's friction. As neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman says, discomfort is the currency of neuroplasticity. You paid that currency in week 1, and it was worth it. Week 2. Clarity emerges, testosterone rebounds, motivation returns. By now, the brain's reward system is rebalancing. Studies show that abstaining from porn and excessive masturbation for even 7 to 14 days leads to higher testosterone levels, increased dopamine receptor sensitivity, and a significant rise in goal-oriented behavior. You felt your old self waking up, only this time, stronger, clearer, and more focused. This was the beginning of real inner momentum. Week 3. Emotional mastery and identity rebirth. You weren't just resisting, you were reinventing. You began recognizing your triggers, decoding your emotional patterns, and responding with intention instead of reaction. This is when men start to say, I don't even feel like the same person anymore. It's because you aren't. You stopped numbing yourself. You started meeting yourself, raw, honest, unfiltered, and that version of you is powerful. Week 4. Alignment, expression, mastery. This is when values and actions begin to align. You show up early. You speak more clearly. You think more deeply. You build instead of binge. You're not just trying to quit porn anymore. You're trying to become excellent, and the world notices. Real-life reflection: why every man needs this. Let's be brutally honest. Most men never confront their dopamine addictions. They live distracted, restless lives. They age early. They numb their ambition. They die full of regret. But you're different now. Why? Because you took 1 month to stop escaping and start evolving. As performance coach Craig Ballantyne says, discipline isn't about restriction. It's about freedom. Freedom to be who you were meant to be. And that's what you've done. Whether you made it to day 30 clean or had a few stumbles along the way, it doesn't matter. You showed up, you learned, you leveled up. This wasn't a punishment, it was a revelation. Final thought: you're not quitting, you're upgrading. Let this truth land deep in your core. You didn't just quit porn, you didn't just stop a habit, you began a lifetime process of self-leadership. Because this challenge wasn't about self-denial, it was about self-discovery. Every man and every woman should experience what happens when the noise fades and the clarity kicks in. Not to prove they're strong, but to meet the version of themselves that's been waiting underneath the distractions. You're not quitting something. You're upgrading everything. And this version of you, he doesn't just chase pleasure, he builds purpose. He creates. He leads. Final reminder: if this journey meant anything to you, even a single insight, smash that like button to help this message reach more people who need it. Subscribe for more science-based, soul-deep content on mastery, masculinity, and mental clarity. And most importantly, drop a comment below. What did your 30-day journey teach you? What surprised you most? What was the hardest moment and the most powerful one? Let's build this tribe, this community of people who are done being distracted and ready to live deliberately. Because this isn't just a YouTube video, it's a movement. Let's grow together.